Welcome to Blockchain in the Metaverse. I'm your host, futurist Amelia Kallman. In 2022, the term Metaverse went mainstream. We saw Web 2 companies embrace Web 3 technologies, discovering new audiences, revenue streams, and business models with the rise of NFTs and tokenization. We also saw social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok struggle with controversy, as well as the crash of FTX and a crypto winter. Now, as we start 2023, it's time to imagine what's next and what this year might hold. To help me look ahead, I am thrilled to welcome my guest today, CEO of Together Labs, Daren Tsui. Named one of Time Magazine's most influential companies, Together Labs empowers people to connect, create, and earn in virtual worlds. Their mission is to redefine social media as a catalyst for authentic human connection through the development of products that include InView, the world's largest avatar social platform, Vcoin, the first regulatory approved transferable digital currency, and With Me, an upcoming mobile platform built on insights from the science of friendship. Welcome, Daren.
Yes, thanks for inviting me. Really happy to be here.
So to begin, can you tell us a bit about yourself and your background and how you became the CEO of Together Labs?
Happy to. My background is I'm more of a startup guy. I've started three different companies. Before joining InView, I was actually the SVP of Content and Services over at Samsung on the mobile division. Joining Together Labs and InView is kind of an interesting story. At the time, I've done some VR projects, so I'm into VR, but I really did not know a whole lot about 3D avatars or kind of a social network, other than the fact that I've used Facebooks and Twitters and so forth, right? And so, but I took a year off from working at Samsung, looking for my next opportunity. I was recruited by a recruiter looking for a new CEO that's product oriented. I thought I'd give it a shot just because, it sounded very, very interesting. And they talked a little bit about VR. I have to say that initially I wasn't quite sure whether I really could help the company given sort of, its needs and wants about social and friendship and 3D. But I remember going into one of the InView rooms and I created an avatar and like I said, look, I'm really going to dog food this, really going to try it. I remember I sat on a sofa, and the sofa had an animation node of me actually hugging another avatar, another user. And I remember I was aghast when that happened. I was like, oh my gosh. And I started typing like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hug you. I got all flustered. And all of a sudden the light bulb went off in my head. It's like, I've used a lot of different social products, but like Facebook and all, I don't ever remember feeling this way. And that's when the light bulb went off in my head that, the thing that I was experiencing, now I know it now after some studying, it's called presence, which is through the feeling, the psychological feeling that you're actually there and real with the person. That's when I thought, oh boy, this is something that is very different. That's very, very interesting. And that's how I joined InView.
So, I mean, that mission that Together Labs has to redefine social media, I find really refreshing because I think with some of these traditional platforms, like the Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter and stuff, they're not what we originally signed up for. And
Yes.
I think there's a real desire to do better and to find something more meaningful in the way
Yes.
that we connect. And I think, that's what you guys are doing. And I think it's really amazing and want to know, there's that presence, but what are some of the other like key differences between what we have going on in this kind of traditional social media that people are kind of used to and bored of? And
Yeah.
what are the key advantages and differentiations in what you guys do and where this is all going?
You are completely right. And, our mission here at Together Labs is to really connect millions of people, right? And allow them to live their lives in the metaverse. Your view about social networks today, I would call them more of a social media as opposed to social networks. The companies like or services like Facebook, like Instagram, it's becoming more about consuming content, right? It's more about curating your perfect self as a profile, and you want to follow things, you want to post things, you want to like things. But those are not really real actions for making friendship. And I think that is sort of the biggest difference, and also the opportunity for us, for the metaverse, is that, we feel like InView is very uniquely positioned because we focus on the social aspect of friendship, of groups, of societies, right? And as a matter of fact, we're students and we actually study, there's a science behind friendship of how they're formed. As a matter of fact, that's the framework that we use to create all of our products. So what does that mean in terms of translating to, what do we do here? So as an example, we enable friendships by not only connecting people together of similar interests, we actually help foster that friendship by nudging users to actually chat and interact over a lot of different shared experiences. And if you think about how do you make friends in real life, that's exactly the way I described it is what happens. You and me might go to a movie together. That's a shared experience. We might go to the beach together. And during those experiences, we would talk, we would get to know about each other, we would disclose. That's how friendship is formed. And I think Metaverse has the ability to be able to do that. And if we do it right, then the friendship becomes very authentic versus, again, following somebody, right? And I think that's a unique piece of what we do here. And that's why we're so excited.
It's really about incorporating that human element into it. I think when I go on things like Instagram now, I end up feeling a bit bad about myself or something with all the different ads that are coming at me. And there doesn't feel like I'm actually connecting with somebody authentically because we're kind of maybe showing our best selves. And I think you're absolutely right about kind of having a shared experience, but that really is uplifting and empowering and, an exciting thing to aim for.
That's right. And then also, it's not just about it's not just about connecting, because one could argue, well, geez, Darren, based on what you just described, can Zoom just offer all that? Why do you need a metaverse, right? And this is where I think a couple of things here. One is that with Zoom, which is what we're doing here, it's basically the same shared experience over and over again, which is just, I see you, you see me, and we're talking, right? And when you make friends in real life, you don't just always go to the movies. You do different things. So I think we need that to be able to keep having these shared experiences to make them interesting. And the second, which I alluded to a little bit earlier, which is the whole idea of presence. I think presence is actually very, very important when it comes to friendship building, because you want to feel that you're actually there with somebody, right? And so, and that's when you really, really open up. So I think those couple of factors would argue that Zoom is not enough. It's a shared experience, but it's not all of the shared experiences.
Yes, I would agree. Having done about 3 years of Zoom calls now, I know that from when I have experiences in view, they do feel like it's more exciting, and you remember what happened and you remember who you met, and you do have those shared experiences that become more meaningful. Whereas
Right.
I've done hundreds of Zoom calls and and I can't remember all of them, but I can remember all the times I've been in view and have met somebody new or have had a really cool experience. And I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you a bit more about this idea, because there was a great article that you were quoted in MetaJuice.com, where you were talking about the future of dating apps and how that could be in the metaverse as well. And wondering if you can elaborate a bit more on that idea and how people are starting to take a different approach to finding love or situationships, which I quite liked.
We'll talk a little bit about that. I'm really happy to hear that you know this term situationship. I just learned it myself, to be honest, a few months ago. But so we were actually approached by multiple dating conglomerates last year, and I think they tipped us off in terms of understanding there is a changing landscape, especially around online dating, right? And for Gen Zs as well. And so situationship, the definition of that is it's really a romantic relationship, but it's not considered formal or established, right? And this growing dynamic is it is sort of results of Gen Z's attitude towards romance, as well as their changing lifestyle. And you compound that with the fact that they have very busy lives, and they're quite comfortable and native to online relationships, or just call it online interactions, right? And so this situationships has arise where it's basically born out of convenience for these guys. And so how do we sort of navigate that changing landscape? Well, it's I think the metaverse is perfectly suited for situationship, because you can get online. It's very easy to use. You can meet a lot of people across the world locally. You can have these authentic connections and relationships, but they don't have to be serious or formal, right? And if all goes well, great. If it doesn't, you can just delete your avatar and create another. So if it gets awkward, you can just walk away. It's very, very safe. And so I think these dating conglomerates, they sort of see the changing landscape here, and they're exploring how the metaverse could sort of help their business going forward. So yeah, we find that situation very, very interesting, and I think there's a real opportunity here for us.
Absolutely. No, I think it's exciting. One thing though, I do have to ask is it makes me wonder how it might impact, quote, like real life relationships. Like, is it cheating if it's with an avatar? Like, you can't get pregnant or an STD in the metaverse. Do you think this will affect future birth rates? Like, what are your thoughts on the impact?
Well, first, a disclaimer, which is I am not an anthropologist. I only play one on the podcast. But I do believe that the metaverse could be a very nice augmentation, though, to dating. You hear a lot of stories today about how people will use these profile-based dating apps, right? And they always get disappointed when they actually meet the person in real life, because their profile doesn't quite match, right, with their real person. And so you have this mismatch. And I think that, again, what we do here and what the metaverse can do is to allow you to actually build a relationship first, have that authentic connection, so you can actually get to know each other better, right? And so if you do that, then it's a little bit less misleading, right? So I'm not quite sure about birth rates and all that, although I don't think it's a bad thing that maybe the birth rate gets a little bit lower for the health of the planet.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But I really do think that this is a net positive. And also, the way that we're thinking about dating in the metaverse, back to the situationship, it doesn't always have to be serious. It's a game sometimes. And I think that people really would enjoy that.
And I wanted to ask you about With Me and what it is, and also how has the science of friendship shaped its development?
Oh, yes. So With Me is currently in beta. So we're not ready to provide a lot of details right now. However, what I can say though is that With Me is a brand new metaverse that we're launching this year. It's going to be mobile focused, and we believe that is super important, because if you want to reach the masses, mobile is the way to do that, right? And it is a culmination of all of our learnings from InView, and also we're building a brand new tech stack along with this metaverse. So we're using all the latest and greatest leading edge 3D technology, and we're very, very excited about that. It will be UGC based, and you can create some fantastic experiences on it. The visuals are going to be stunning, so you can actually see AAA grade type of gaming experiences and interactions. So hopefully we'll be able to announce this formally sometimes middle of this year.
So stay tuned. It's coming.
Tuned.
Very exciting. Thank you. So I want to change the subject just a bit from the metaverse to blockchain. And what are some of the trends that you expect to see this year when it comes to NFTs and crypto?